So let's add the rest of the HTML code that is needed. And for that, we need to inspect what we have here. Well, we have the rocket first, then we have a title, and then we have some subtitle here, and we have more text, the button, and so on and so forth. And what I would like to take a little close look at is that here I have some text, here I have some text, here I have some text, and so on and so forth. So, and they behave in kind of the same way. So I'm going to try to set some kind of box around those, because then I can handle that in one place. So if I would like to change anything with that one, I can change it in one place. But let's start to add the header. It should start with the logo. We already had the logo up here, so I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to add this as an article, and I'm going to set a class of an info box, and then I can start to add the info into this one. The first one we should have was an H1, Rocket Lab, maybe capital L, close that one, and then we had maybe an H3 that says come and visit us, and H3. Okay, and then for the next part I have a paragraph, and here I have some of this nonsense Latin, and there is actually a nonsense Latin Lorem Ipsum-generator built into Emmet. So here I can write, if I write lorem and then hit my expansion key, what will happen is that I get a paragraph of text. But I can be a little bit more sophisticated. I can write, for example, lorem 35. Then I will get 35 words of lorem ipsum. So now if I expand this one, you can see that I got this text. And then I can close this one. And then finally I had the button, and I'm going to use an anchor for that with a class equals button. And then we had learn more, and we close the anchor, and of course it should have an href also, href equals, but we are not linking anywhere at the moment, so I just use a hash mark. And then of course I need to close the article, and then I'm done with everything in the header. Then I need to, and now when I save, you see that I get the rocket here. It's big and fancy, but we can fix that later on in CSS. Now I'm going to add the rest of the content, but I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to add it and then just go through it a little bit more quickly, because I think that watching me typing is like watching sand in an hourglass. Okay, now we have all the HTML code here. We have in the page head, we already looked into that, but let's take a quick look. We have the logo, and we have an article with a class of info box, and here we have the text. We have an H1 for Rocket Lab, H3 for come visit us, and then a paragraph, and then we have an anchor with a class of button that we will style later on. Okay, so that was the page head, and then we go to the experience part, and here I just have the info box. It is this part, the rocket experience. And then comes the next part, and that contains two different subparts. And that is, first of all, we have the staff list, and maybe this one should actually go into the staff list to make it kind of have two sections. Sorry for that. Okay, so we have a section with company info, and then we have then staff list and an info box again, and the second info box is this, only the best part. So for the staff list, I made the following. I created an article for every staff member, and then within that one I had an image, and then I have another info for the staff, and here I have the text for the different people. Nothing super fancy. Why did I add these kind of, well, because the image should be to the left and then the text should be to the right, and the text should line up in a nice way. Therefore, I created a specific div for those. And finally, if we go further down, we have the info box again with only the best. Here I have 2 paragraphs like this. And maybe one thing that I should show you is that if you would like to have this nonsense Lantis, but you don't want all to start with Lorem Ipsum to get some more variation, what I usually do is that, let's say here I want 50 words or something. I write Lorem and then maybe 60, and then I hit the expansion key, and then I remove the first sentence, and then I get something else, because the first sentence will usually be the same, or at least Lorem Ipsum Dolores hit Emmet is always the same, so then I can remove that one. And you can of course cut anywhere you want. But here we have it, and then the final thing is in the footer. Well, in the footer I added 2 sections. That is one for the links, and that is the privacy policy. And then we have the contact info where we have the logo, and then we have the address, and the logo is the same as we used every time. So there we have all the HTML code.